welcome back to my channel. Today we have a math problem and it's going to be about ratios. So this problem says that x over y equals 5 over 6 and y over z equals 4 over 1. And then at the end, they said x plus y plus z equals 125. So our goal in this problem is to find what x, y, and z equal. So there is a really simple way to solve this, which is we can turn the fractions into the ratios, which means x to y equals 5 to 6 and y to y to z equals 4 to 1. Now we see a little problem here. In the first ratio, y equals 6, but in the second ratio, y equals 4. And that is really not beautiful about this equation, which means we need to turn it into the same thing. So the least common multiple of 6 and 4 is 12, so we'll turn y into 12. So in order to turn 6 into 12, we need to times both of these by 2, which is 10 to 12. And at the bottom, we need to times both of them by 3, so 12 to 3. Now our lovely equation looks really beautiful now, which means we can move on. So it says that all three x, y, z add up equals 125. But we can clearly see that 10 plus 12 plus 3 is not 125, which means we need to times each of them by a number. Let's say that number is k. So 10k plus 12k plus 3k equals 125. And they all have to be multiplied by the same number, because if they are different, then these fractions, there's no point of these fractions to be here. Because if we times the top and the bottom by a different number, then 5 over 6 wouldn't equal the other number, the other fraction you found if you times the top and bottom by different numbers. So we have this, and then we can factor out the k, since all three of these numbers have the factor k in it. So we can factor it out, which means k bracket 10 plus 12 plus 3, and that equals 125. And then we can see that we can solve the thing inside the brackets. So k and the inside equals 25 and equals 125. Now we see this, and then we have to get the variable on the same side and the whole number on the other side, which means we have k equals 125 over 25, and this equals 5. So we know k equals 5, which means we need to times each of these numbers by 5. So we can see over here, we need to times 10, 12, and 3 by 5. So we know now x equals 50, y equals 60, and z equals 15. So now we know our answer right here. Now there are many other ways to solve it. You can use the substitute method. But I feel like this method is the most simple one for me to understand. So let's try the substitution method. Let's just erase all this. Okay. So for that method, we see that that these equal all of these, but we all know that we don't like fractions, which means we need to turn it into a whole number. In order to do that, we can do something called cross multiplying, which means we need to cross, which means 6x equals 5y. And we have to do the same to the other one, which means 4z equals y. So if we have this, we know that y equals 4z. And now we know what y equals, we need to know what the other ones equal in order to put it together to find what each one equals. So let's say we need to find what x equals. So x equals, over here we can see that 6x equals 5y. To get x by itself, we need to divide both sides by 6, which means x equals 5y over 6. And then we need to do the same thing for z, which means z equals, we can divide and we see it equals y over 4. So now we see our lovely ingredients over here. And then we can put it together to find the answer. So we put 5y over 6 plus y over 4. So you may be wondering, why did you put y? I thought you were supposed to put 4z. But we put y because it will be easier, because now we have 3 of the same variables instead of 2 different ones, which means we can find y and then we can use that information to find x and z. So that equals 125. So when we see this, we need to turn the denominators into the same thing. So we could change all of them into 12, let's say. So we need to times the top by 2 for this one, and then it's 12y over 12 plus 3y over 12. And that equals 125. So now we have all the same y's over here, which means we can add them up, which equals 25y over 12, which equals 125. So whenever we see this now, and we need to make sure we get rid of the fractions because we don't like them. So we can times both sides by 12. So 25y equals 125 times 12. Now we don't solve that yet because we could do something else to make solving that easier and quicker. So now we can get the variable on its own, which means we need to divide both sides by 25. So y equals 125 times 12 over 25. Now you can see why we did this, because instead of just doing that, which is really challenging and you can perhaps make errors, this will be a accurate way to solve it, which means we can cancel these. And if you can't divide these quickly, you can first do 5, and then up here it will be 25, and then you can divide them again, which gets 1 and 5. So we know y equals 60. So if we know y equals 60, which is 6 times 10, we need to do the same thing to x, which means we need to do 5 times 10, which gets x equals 50, y equals 60. And we know y equals 60, which means we need to find z, and we need to times the top and bottom by 15. So if we times z by 15, we get z equals 15. So this also works. The answers are all the same. So to me, the first method was a little bit better for me to understand, But you can pick any method you want because everyone's different. Thank you for watching. Bye!